Hi, I'm Michael, and this is Tarot by the Tree. We're calling this part of the whole Tarot by the Tree the studies. And this is where we're going to look at each of the major arcana one at a time and study them. The first card we did was the Magician. And as a recap, the Magician is everything you could possibly imagine and more, but it doesn't exist in reality. You can't touch it. This is, in a way, in the magician's mind. This is unexpressed. It is not part of our world yet. We move from the magician to the high priestess, where everything is released as if the high priestess was a valve. All the things that the magician had in stasis, waiting in his imagination, are now released into the world with no regard for use or good or bad or mercy or severity, any part of this. We move now to the Empress, card number 3, and she is a little different. She's part of the upper supernal trinity, where the energy from Kether is the energy from the magician is released in the high priestess, and that is channeled into the Empress and fed back into the magician as kind of a loop, a feedback loop. The Empress, however, doesn't just have that role. In a way, she betrays the upper triad, and she takes all of the things, what we thought was everything, and she recombines and she puts up stringent filters. And out of all this everything, she still manages to come up with something new. And this something new is our lives. It may be life itself, but she does result in something that hadn't been in existence before. We'll take a look at the card itself. The Empress sits on a padded throne. It looks like it's a sunny day outside. There are growing things behind her, trees. Her white gown is resplendent with roses. She holds a kind of a scepter in one hand. Beside her throne is a heart-shaped, perhaps it's a box, with the symbol of femininity on it, with the female symbol. And indeed, she is on the female path, which is the path of severity. It is the left-hand path. She is at the top of that column, that pillar. The Empress is often referred to as a sign of pregnancy, but that's just far too simple a reading. She is a sign of birth of many kinds, and also the sign of completing an upper cycle at the same time. What she does is takes all the different energies, and she doesn't just combine them. There's an element of holding back, filtering, isolating things. It's very much like alchemy. And indeed, her altar image is temperance, which is the iconic sign of alchemy and change, and that's what the Empress is. This is not a change just by adding a little of this to a little of that. This is change by restricting. This is change by not allowing. The Empress is not a loving mother dedicated to the well-being of her children and a very nurturing, kind individual. That is not the Empress. The Empress is the head of the female column on the side of severity. She epitomizes severity. The other name for severity is clean or cleanliness. What the Empress does is she gets rid of anything that might spoil or infect or alter what she's doing. She's a cruel lady. She's very powerful, and in order to accomplish what she does for the greater good, she pays no attention to what might suffer in the interim. Things must be kept back, things must not be allowed, and that can result in new creation. And that's what the Empress does. If you meet somebody and you're wondering if they are an Empress-like person, you could imagine somebody who is secure, somebody who makes no effort to be kind for the sake of kind. This is not somebody that just speaks out platitudes and niceties. That's not part of her nature. This is a person who is exclusive. And one of her powers is the ability to exclude what she doesn't want or need. Let's look at a few questions now.
How does the Empress relate to the Three of Cups?
Okay, all of the threes have to do with the supernal mother, who is not the traditional mother. We remember that she maintains the upper triad, but at the same time, she throws off from it. She creates something outside of it. In a sense, she betrays the trilogy at the top and creates something new. When we look at the Three of Cups, we see three ladies dancing, holding cups up in the air. This is a joyous celebration. These three people have come together and they've created something, and it's working right now. That's almost the first stage of the Empress. And that's what the message of this card is: when just cause for celebration arrives, take advantage of it. Feeds your soul, brings people together. And that's what this card represents.
How does the Empress relate to the Three of Swords?
The Three of Swords depicts a heart with three swords plunged through it. It's a rainy day with clouds overhead. Very clearly, this is not a card of good omen. This is a card, heartbreak, disaster. The Empress has this aspect in her. She maintains, but there is something else. And that something else was not a part of what she maintains. It's different in quality and quantity. The Three of Swords lets you embrace something that has failed or gone wrong or is no longer apparent. On the ashes of that, something new will build, and that will be part of your power.
How does the Empress relate to the Three of Staffs?
The Three of Staffs shows a man in multicolored garb standing on top of a high point of a hill, and he has the three staves. They're all free. None of them are bolted down, and because of his garment, you can see he's been here and there, and he's done other things, and he is now taking his plans, some of which have matured, and he is looking to move them elsewhere, lock, stock, and barrel. Just take them all and start again with his skills and his knowledge, and perhaps some of his equipment or whatever he needs to make a living, and take it somewhere else and start again. And with the Empress, we again see that the idea of a dual role, maintaining one thing and starting something new.
How does the Empress relate to the Three of Coins?
The Three of Coins again show three people. They're perhaps in a church. They're in some sort of a grand building. And there's an emissary of the king and an emissary of the church. Elevated slightly above them on a bench, working with his chisel and hammer, is a craftsman. These three people are all part of the kingdom, and they work together. But the craftsman, like the Empress, takes everything and out of it creates something new. That ability rises him up higher than kings and shamans because by virtue of his skill.
Do tarot cards accurately predict the future?
This is a question that a lot of people ask, and no, they don't. The present is made up of the past, and the future is made up of what's going on right now. Even some of the greats, Edgar Cayce and Nostradamus, couldn't even average 50% accuracy. Predicting the future is a game. If you keep your predictions very vague, they're likely to be true. If you keep them based on trends, they have a certain likelihood of being true as well. If you make them very obvious, like you predict the sun's going to come up in the morning, that's a safe prediction. But no one knows the future. There's no way we can see the future. The future does not exist yet. And that's all I have to say about that.
Are tarot cards better for telling the future than astrology, tea leaves, or parlor reading?
Or palm readings. Yeah, no. Fortune telling is a game, but it could be an instructive game. The use of cards or even tea leaves or the lines on a person's palm can sometimes trigger things in our self-conscious. So when we predict a future, it may be informed by our subconscious. It has to be noted that all psychics and fortune tellers only predict one possible future. There is no reason at all to believe that the future predicted by any of these things has any more credence, value, or likelihood of happening than any other guess. Fortune telling is an informed guess that offers you a picture of what your future could be, and it's something to work towards if you like it, and it's something to guard against if you don't like it.
If the Empress shows up in a reading, does it always refer to a female?
Absolutely not. And I probably should have mentioned this before, or maybe it's obvious. We are all composed of male and female parts. We're all composed of energy. In that way, we're all batteries. All batteries have polarities. A battery does not work without a negative and a positive end. One is not better than the others. These are polarities that when combined, we get energy. We are all comprised of these polarities as well. The Empress refers to somebody with that female creative energy that knows what not to allow as much as what to allow. She is stern, she is strict, she's severe, and this person's energy has no trouble at all disallowing or not admitting anyone or anything. And that's our overview today of the Empress. And tomorrow we'll be leaving the upper triad and moving down into the next pair, which will be the Emperor and the that's silly.
I'll see you tomorrow.
The Emperor and the Hierophant. And we'll see you tomorrow with those two. Bye for now. Maybe they